it's newer than that one. Yeah, it's newer.
Dang it.
I told you, I was thinking like, those wheels are from the one we got, and that car looks older.
False alarm. In this video clip, you're going to see the forklift sitting in front of the car for a while. He needs to change positions and get in back of the car to properly load it on the trailer. However, the car keeps rolling away. So there's a big clue as to what's wrong with this vehicle. When we're watching this, we didn't actually know what was going on and why the guy was waiting so long. And it took us a long time to find the damage, but actually, I'm going to give you guys a spoiler. The Civic axle is broken. It appears that there's only damage to the top of the car, but there's a lot more damage than we thought. So follow along, guys, and I hope you guys enjoy the video. Also, I want to tell you guys that I have several projects going on right now. I have a Kia Soul that's not quite finished yet. I have this Honda Civic. I have a Hyundai Elantra GT, and I'm working on renovating my bathroom. So I apologize if I'm not kicking out videos, but please remember I'm not monetized, and I just have to balance all these videos along with all these projects.
How much was the price, honey? ¿Cuánto es el precio?
Check it out.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Total price $287.
$287.
Well, here we are, guys. This is like day 3 working on the Honda Civic over here, and it's about 5 degrees. I don't know, maybe 10 degrees in this garage, but it's not so bad if you're working and stuff. So this is actually my mom's garage, and my garage is full. And about a year ago, my mom joined me in Ohio. And so she had an extra space available in her garage, and you know, if I work on a car project in her garage, it allows me to see her once in a while, you know, a little more often than I would normally. So I have the bumper here sitting on top, and it's still in pretty good condition. I'm going to use that grill. Really tight quarters, everything's messy, everything's cold, lighting is really bad. So I do want to see if it runs, and I'm not yet there to see it run yet. So I want to improve lighting, and I want to get more tools over here and everything before I jump into the engine. And as you can see, the timing cover is still there. It's still broken, and I'm going to tackle that another day once I have better lighting. I try to do a little bit of organization today by swapping over the components for the radiator and the condenser, and I found out the radiator that I ordered does not fit. The condenser is okay, the fan shroud is okay, but the radiator, it's in the box way over there. I'm gonna have to take that back, or it might even be too late. So I might lose some money there. We'll see. I'll try to take it back. Okay, now onto the car. I removed the engine cover from the bottom. And kind of weird here, I see a bunch of chemicals. There's some oil, there's coolant in there as well, and strangely there's some grease. Big old pile of grease right in the bottom. I guess that's from the steering rack and pinion or something. I'm gonna have to crawl under there and check it out. There was pretty much no oil in the filter, and it was really dirty. So I'm gonna see how this goes with the oil pan. Here it goes. Let me see if I can get my light on it. There we go. Almost nothing. So remember, my engine has a hole in the block. So it's not because they ran it with no oil or anything. It's because of the accident. And it's not really the block, it's the timing cover. I'm gonna try to move this out of the way a little bit, and I'm trying to get up there. I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay, there it is there. There's a bunch of grease on the exhaust pipe. Okay, I have a jack under the engine now, which gives me a little bit more room. And I'm gonna show you guys this grease here. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's a leaf. Ah. Wow. Yeah, you guys can see it, I'm sure. That's a CV joint sticking out right there. And I guess that's why it wouldn't go into gear. Or that's why it was rolling over at Copart. Because that CV joint just popped right out, and then when they were trying to load it, it kept rolling away from the guys with the forklift. Wow. That's not good. Hopefully my transmission's okay. All right. All right, yeah. Everything appears to be okay here. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but the transmission appears to be okay, but the shaft for the CV joint is gone. I heard you could pop those back in, but man, I don't know. Ooh, that's not gonna be fun. All right, so here it is here. It's totally disconnected. Oh yeah, not good. So I'm not sure how to do this exactly on this car, but I'll probably have to remove the ball joint and swing the assembly out. Of course, I'll have to undo the nut, and that CV axle will probably come out, and I'll probably have to get more transmission fluid. This is a CVT, so I'm going to have to get some CVT fluid. I'll have to go back to Honda for that. And, well, I guess it's a good time to do a CVT fluid change, isn't it? A little early with 15,000 miles, but at least we'll be caring for the car. Now that I have a jack under the engine, everything is level, and we can really see the damage here on the timing cover. So that's a huge hole. And once I get the alternator off and the tensioner, then I think everything else is pretty easy. All right, guys, another day or so has gone by, and I made some progress, but a lot of it is just more frustration. So I know in the end, this car is going to be good. The block is good. The body is good. So it's just about replaceable parts. But I just keep finding more and more parts that I have to replace. So I might have to replace a wiring harness now. And the money is there, guys. This is about a $26,000 car if it had a clean title. And I think we're probably going to be in maybe $11,000-$12,000. So I think the money's there. It's just going to take a little bit more time and a little bit more frustration than I thought. But of course, the engine mount broke. The engine got slammed into the back, and everything associated, not everything, but a lot of things associated on the back of the engine, and even the CV axle was damaged. Here, guys, you can see that there's a broken connector right here, and then a bunch of wires destroyed there, so that would require soldering. If you look way back here, you see this wire is completely missing its connector. The ABS module was hit, although I think it's still functioning. It's just some of the plastic around the side has been destroyed. But still, I mean, this is a 2021 Civic. If you want top dollar, all these things have to be fixed on it. You don't want to be selling like a half-ass repair, stuff that looks bad or, glued together, zip tied. You don't want any of that on this car. Also, check out the intake. As expected, I was looking at the back of the engine just in case there was damage. And this vacuum hose still has the nipple inside. And that's where it goes, right there. You know, I don't want to be putting like plastic weld on this car. You know, it'll work, sure. But man, how much is the intake? That's got to be like 300 bucks or something. Of course, I have to take off the crank bolt, and this bolt is always very difficult. There's a lot of torque on this bolt. And I did take my impact to it, but I wasn't able to get it out. And I do have the tool. I do have the tool that which goes in this large hex shape here, and then you're supposed to torque up against that instead of using the impact. I don't have it with me right now. It's at my other garage there. I do have most of the bolts for the timing cover already loosened up, but I don't want to take it out any further than it is right now until I get that pulley off. Once I get that pulley off, everything will go a lot faster. All the bolts are removed also for the valve cover. So let's check out everything over here as well. See, even this thing right here is broken. So this is okay, but all the plastic associated over here with the ECU is broken. If you want to replace the connector, you have to replace the entire wiring harness. And that's a little bit steep. Well guys, the main focus I have from here is going to be that pulley bolt. If I can get that pulley bolt off, then everything is going to be moving pretty quick. But I'm going to call it a night, come back in the morning with that pulley tool. Well guys, I was hoping to reuse this axle, but it looks like I'm not going to be able to. There's a crack right there, and when I rotate it, you can see another little crack right there. Well, I was able to remove the CV joint from the transmission. It's still hanging out in there a little bit. You can pry on it, and it's not going to move, but then when you tap it in just the right spot, then it just comes right out. So let me reach in there and try to grab it. Well, here she is. Of course, all this is going to get replaced. Well guys, everything is looking pretty good. I don't see any metal or anything anywhere. Even the cover looks pretty good, except there is a crack here that's pretty cool. I do need to go back to the dealer and get these seals just for good measure, and I'll probably get the main seal here for the crankshaft pulley, and then we're in business. Well, this isn't good. I was trying to scrape off the gasket material, and I dropped my razor blade down an oil pan. I can still see it, and I think I can get to it with a magnet, but yeah, I don't have a magnet with me right now. Well guys, I ain't gonna lie, it's cold in here and this sucks. You know, little things like this are really frustrating, and on top of that, you can see my face is red because I was shoveling snow today, and I think I got a little bit of a sunburn. But you know, it's just cold, and so yeah, I get out here and I'm running on like 10% motivation. So you know, when I see something like this, I don't feel like doing anything else. There's really nothing else I want to do. I just kind of want to just pack it up and go home. Here's the old engine mount, and you can see the metal that I broke off right here. And because this broke off all in one piece, I'm pretty certain there's no metal fragments in the engine. All right, now the bolt is out. So let's just feed this through. That our seatbelt is ready to ship, I can move on to the airbag. Drop my razor blade down in the oil pan. Let's try to get it out. No. Ooh, I heard something. There it is. Right on. I stuffed a rag down there this time, so hopefully nothing's going to drop down there. Well, guys, I got some more bad news. I was just getting ready to put everything back together. I was getting ready to put on the chain cover and the valve cover, and I found more carnage. So let me show you guys what's going on. Can you guys see it? There it is. There's a crack in the oil pan right there in the corner. So I guess when that engine mount broke, it hit the subframe right there. You know, I mean, if I was like out in the middle of nowhere, I'd probably just JB welded it or something. Well, I'm still going to go forward. I'm going to try to get the chain cover on today, but I'm just not going to seal it right there where the oil pan is. It's not going to crawl into the car and replace that, and hopefully I can find a used one on eBay. I think I might be able to weld it. What do you guys think? It doesn't look too bad, especially with the front of the car off. I'm going to have to take off the exhaust pipe, and so yeah, I mean, everything is pretty accessible. I have new O-rings on my valve, or on my chain cover on the inside, so let me show you guys that. Here you can see O-rings, and I have the ultra gray for the metal to metal contact. And we're going to slide this down. And the block itself. Alright, not bad. Alright guys, we're looking pretty good here, and we're getting ready to put on just a touch of ultra gray. Anytime you see a union or a joint, for example, the chain cover matches up with the block, and there's, you know, it's not a perfect union right there, so you want to add just a little bit of silicone in that area. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's kind of like 2 areas here. I'm going to add some ultra gray. I got my Kirkland 0W20. Probably Honda and Toyota is like the, you know, those are like the only 2 car manufacturers where I'd really trust them with 0W20. Put a little on my chain. And spread it out. So here's today's project. We're trying to take off the engine mount, and I had the jack underneath the car. It was supporting the engine, so I removed the jack and I put on the engine mount. I did have to remove the exhaust pipe, and there's also 1 bolt on the engine mount in the back I had to remove, and I think this thing is ready to come out. So this is not necessary because it's tied to the block, and Honda gave us a little pry point right here. So let's give it a shot. Hopefully I don't break anything. Alright. You see it coming down right here. And there is a lot of big hardware. I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's like either they're going with the small one or the extra large. We're pretty close to having this oil pan in our hands, but that exhaust pipe definitely has to come out. So what I'm going to do here is jack up the car a little bit more and see what I have to do to move that exhaust pipe out of the way. I don't know if I have to remove it or just remove some of the mounts and then just push it out of the way a little bit. So I don't see a flange. I have to remove the underbelly pan of the car, this plastic piece. It's over there as well, but it stretches across the underbelly of the car, so all that has to be removed, and then I'll see how it goes from there. Well, scratch that idea. I don't have an e-brake or emergency brake right now because this is an electronic e-brake. I can't set it. I'm not sure why yet. We'll get to that later. And so I can't jack up the car because it might roll away from me, and I don't really have anything to put under the tires right now. So I don't know. I might be able to get off that pan, that belly pan under the car, but we'll go. I don't know. I'll just crawl under there as tight as it is, and then I'll try to get that exhaust pipe disconnected. Well, my house is starting to look like a junkyard, but let's see what we got here. We got a new fan. I got these from OEMPartSource.com. This is the air filter box, the plenum. That's this guy. Kind of hard to get out because it's sandwiched between the subframe and the real frame. Here is the top to the air cleaner. Right on, it's all coming together. Finally got the right radiator. This is the third one that I received. The other two were from eBay, and usually they're pretty good, but I couldn't get the right one. They were clearly the wrong size. Maybe it was like for the Accord or something, or a previous year. So this one I just went to the dealer. The price wasn't that bad. It was only like $30 off of what I could find on eBay. And I received an axle. So this looks pretty good, except for the rubber in the middle. I think this is like for vibration dampening or something. Probably should be there, but for the price, I think I'm going to take a chance. So from now, guys, I can do a little bit of assembly work. I want to take the radiator and the condenser, put them together, and possibly put them in my radiator support right there. I was able to remove the airbag with a T30 Torx bit, and now I'm trying to get to the airbag module. So it's tucked on under here pretty well, and I don't know how to remove all this trim and everything, but I did see one guy doing it. The back end of this trim can be pulled down and away, and then you'll have access to the airbag module. I got the airbag module out, so that's a good thing. And I want to show you guys how to remove the harness. So there's a clip right here. Pull down the clip, and then you pull the blue lever from the bottom. So pull down, and then pull out from the bottom. And there's two of them here. I cleaned up the oil pan, and I removed the broken part and cleaned up where the weld is going to go. But I'm undecided about how to do this. So I do have a welder, but I don't have the spool gun, which is often used for the aluminum welding. So I might just pay somebody to fill that in. I assume it's going to cost maybe like $50 to $75. And whereas the spool gun, it costs about $250. Well, guys, I have the oil pan off, and I'm trying to weld that hole, and I don't have the ideal setup, but I've seen it done many times on YouTube, and I'm going to try to duplicate that process. So my titanium welder does not have a spool gun attachment, so it will weld aluminum, but it's not supposed to weld aluminum as it is set up right now. And let me show you what's going on. This is the titanium MIG 140, and there are settings for aluminum, but it also says with spool gun only. And there's a switch right here. When you switch it over to spool gun, it increases the amps. So here's with a spool gun, here's without a spool gun. Well, unfortunately, guys, the welder is not going to work in the spool gun position, because when you flip it over to the spool gun position, the drive mechanism is disconnected. So I guess it's looking for an alternate input. Well, unfortunately, guys, it's just not going to do it. It could do it, but you have to buy the extra attachment. The other welders actually have the capability to where you can weld without the spool gun, but it's not recommended. So this one you can't, unless you rewire it or something like that. But yeah, so I guess I don't know. I got to make some decisions here. Either I'm gonna pay 150 bucks for a spool gun, or I'm gonna, I don't know what, pay 150 bucks or 100 bucks just for the weld. I don't see myself welding aluminum very often, so I don't know. I hate to pay 150 bucks for the spool gun and then never weld aluminum again. Well, here we go. Spool gun, $170. Let's get her going. So these are some beginning welds. Still playing with settings and stuff, and I had it pretty good over here. And then I wanted a clean piece to try it on. And here we go. This is looking a lot better here. So I had two welds here and then one over here. So I think we're dialed in, and I'm gonna try it on my oil pan here. Wish me luck. Here's my first weld on my oil pan. It does not look very good. I think maybe I'll turn up the voltage a little bit. And here's the inside. So I'm gonna have to I'll have to do some grinding. Here we go, guys. It's definitely not pretty. My voltage settings were too low at first, and I raised them just to get a good melt and a good penetration through it. So let me flip this over. Now there's just a mountain on it right now. And I did a little better on this side, just trying to get a good melt and a good penetration. So that looks pretty good. In the morning, I'll go ahead and grind everything down, make it pretty, and fill in any holes that I see. Here's the end result, guys. I did have to weld it 2 times because there was a pit on my first attempt, but after grinding it and sanding it, it looks pretty good. I'm not worried about it leaking or anything. And let me show you guys the inside. The inside looks pretty good, and here's where the weld was. There is a pit there in the corner, but I'm not worried about it. There's not going to be any leaking or anything. I also took a little bit of time to smoothen out the inside, because during the manufacturing process there was a lot of rough edges and stuff like that. And I also cleaned up my sealing surface. So we're good to go. Alright, last thing I want to talk about is how I got the oil pan off. So it is not easy to get it off, even with the front end of the car removed. So what I did was I got my engine hoist from home. This is not my home. And I picked up the engine. I removed the motor mount on the right side and on the back. And after that, everything came out okay. Ooh-wee, guys. The oil pan is in, and it was definitely a pain in the dupa. That's butt if you're Polish like me. Alright, guys. So yeah, it was very difficult to put that oil pan in. I don't know. If you guys have another procedure, yeah, just you might want to consider that. It's just difficult, I think, any way you look at it or any other procedure you go by. So I did have an extra bolt, but in the end I found it. It took me like 30 minutes to look for it. Under the flywheel cover, there is one bolt that's kind of hidden under that cover. Well, guys, it's a new day, and today is the day we actually try to start the car. So we have a new timing cover. We have an oil pan welded, and everything is together, and I let it dry overnight, so hopefully the sealant is all dry and ready to go. Well, it's been about an hour, and I'm still going at it, just trying to make sure everything is correct. There's a lot of connectors and hoses and just a lot of things that I really want to make sure are right before giving it that first crank. So it's a little bit better right now. Of course, once I try to start it, it might still have a problem. So let's see what this is. All kinds of issues here. Looks like they're all centered around the map sensor. Well, guys, that's just the way it goes. You know, sometimes you try, it doesn't work out, and you end up needing more parts and need to spend more money. But I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna attach the alternator. I'm gonna attach the AC compressor. I'm gonna just assemble parts little by little, and we'll get this thing figured out. Made a little progress on the throttle position sensor. This might have been caused by me when I was trying to put the engine mount back on. The engine fell slightly, and I think it was leaning on the throttle position sensor, and unfortunately broke it. So it looks like just a piece of plastic, but there is a sensor here. So there's some terminals here, and there's actually like a pickup right here underneath the plastic, and that coincides with this guy right here. So yeah, it looks like, you know, the overall throttle body is in good condition. All this is moving okay, but the sensor is definitely bad. I'm not sure if I can order this separately. I'll do some research. I have my new clock spring here from the dealer, and on this model, the airbag connectors typically melt, so then the entire clock spring has to be replaced. But it wasn't too bad. It was only $35. I'm not going to put it on just yet though, because I have to put on my airbag module, and that is way down in here. So I've already broken my kick plate here accidentally. I don't recommend doing that, but I can bend this one a little bit more because I already broke it. But I can put in my airbag module, and hopefully this thing will start. On this 2021 model, there is no inertia switch or fuel cutoff switch. Whenever like if you get into an accident, a lot of models, they have that fuel cutoff switch for safety. This one does not have one, to my understanding, and I think it's just programmed into the car so that if the airbag goes off, you know, it's going to deactivate the fuel pump. So I'm hoping that's the case. I'm going to try to put it in. I'm going to try to clear the codes as much as possible because I still don't have one airbag. But I'm hoping I can clear the crash data, get the fuel pump going, and possibly start the car today. Of course, you always want to disconnect your battery when working on anything electrical, or especially the airbag. Now, there was a guy online, and he moved the airbag module with the battery in place, and it's basically like the car thought it was in a rollover accident. All of the airbags blew at the same time, and this was on a BMW. So you can imagine the cost associated with all those airbags. So just disconnect the battery before doing anything associated with the airbags. Also, I want to tell you guys what tools I have. For the airbag module itself, I have this Harbor Freight T30. It came in a set, and the smaller ratchet came in handy. And also for the steering wheel, I have this one here. It's just an Allen. It's not a Torx bit. What is this? 10 millimeter Allen socket. And it's tough to get out, guys. I had to use my impact gun or impact wrench. And the last thing I want to talk about is this clock spring. It has a clip right here to hold it in place. So it's supposed to be centered right now. And if it's not centered, or if I pull this out, if I pull out the clip too soon, the wires can spool in any direction, and it's going to tear it up, the clock spring. So I'm going to keep it centered. My wheels are centered right now. Whenever this was up or down, that piece of plastic was in the way. So just make sure your turn signal isn't on, and maybe this assembly will slide right on. This clock spring is only held in by clips, so it's really not difficult to install. So let's get this going here. And yes, my battery is disconnected, and I don't have any electrical connections in there right now. I don't have an airbag yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that later. All right, I'll go ahead and plug it in. But it should just slide right in. Maybe it's upside down. There we go, it's upside down. All right. All right, I still have my clip in place. And I'm gonna try to leave that for now. Let me try to install the steering wheel first before removing that. So now I know that this has to come all the way up. With the tilt steering wheel function as low as it'll go, this should slide down into its hole. All right, finally I got it in. Everything's lining up here. So, okay, now we're gonna put it on the steering wheel. All right, guys, I'm gonna try to do this as fast as I can because I don't have a lot of memory on my storage on my phone. So, okay, this comes through here, and then I'm gonna line the steering wheel with marks that I put on the shaft, okay? So, I still have the clip in my clock spring, and all of this is gonna come together here, and everything should be pretty straight. There you go, the clip already came out automatically, so that's good. I'm gonna check all my alignment marks. Everything looks good there. Okay, now I just gotta put in the steering wheel bolt. Now that the steering wheel is in and all my electrical connections are in except for the airbag, I'm gonna do that later. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the battery, and hopefully nothing else goes wrong. All right, here we go. Put on the battery connector. All right, I don't hear anything. No news is good news. All right, last time we had about 35 codes, and then I was able to reduce it to about like 25 or something like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do all the modules and see what it comes up with, and then I'll try to go directly to the airbag module and clear any codes. Okay, check out the codes. I don't know, what is that? Over 20 codes here, but the only ones I'm really worried about right now are the SRS codes. Okay, these are permanent codes, so basically they're not going to go away until the problem is fixed. So I understand these two here. These are open or increased resistance on the inflator bag. So we have actually two inflators right here, two connectors, and of course they're open, so they're going to have increased resistance. And the lost communication on the wheel speed sensor. So I'm not sure where this is coming from. So we still have a lot of broken wires up front, and that might be where it's coming from. I found another throttle body on eBay, and I've ordered it. Unfortunately, I think it's coming from California.